Happy Saturday, guys. Come on in, grab your drinks, your coffee, your water, your tea, whatever you are sipping on, and let's talk. It is Saturday, our day to get into God's word, to find out what's on his heart concerning you. And I prayerfully you're having an amazing weekend. If not, you already know you have the power to change your negative into a positive. How? Add the dash. Now that negative one line becomes a positive two lines. Come on, we learned this in school. It works too, spiritually. It works too. You have the power to change a negative into a positive. How? There's some things you have to add. When something's in the hole, right, where there's a deficit, in order to get out of the hole or to get out of that deficit, you have to add something to that to come up out of there. And so what can you add to your life? What can you add to your confession? What can you add to your daily activity in your day to come up out of that hole, to come out of that deficit where you're no longer in the negative, but you're walking, talking, operating, and functioning in the positive. Remember, God came that we may have life and life more abundantly, so we have an advantage. Everyone who is breathing has life. But if he came to give us more than that, that means we should be walking in it. That means it should be activated in our lives. But first, it has to be activated in our minds. And that's what we're going to talk about today. AAA. Now, we're not talking about road assistance. We're talking about mind assistance. If you have AAA, or there are many different roadside assistant companies out there. AAA stands for American Automobile Association. So you may have that. You may have State Farm. I have State Farm currently. But AAA, as do most of them, affords you benefits when you buy in or become a member. But first, you have to have a car. Like AAA is not for home assistance. It's not for the home. In fact, AAA is a form of insurance that protects us in the event that something happens on our journey, on the road, while we're trying to get from there we are to our destination, point A to point B. So we're going to liken this whole idea of AAA road assistance to AAA mind assistance. Because in the same way, the Lord has given us each a purpose. He has given us each gifts and talents that are unique to the way we have been designed, the way we have been created. It's like yours, your fingerprints, unique. There's no one else with the 10 fingerprints that I have. It identifies me. That if I were to get in trouble and you were to get in trouble and they would take, or if I were to get in trouble and they take my fingerprints, there's no way they can attach my fingerprints and say, oh, so-and-so did this crime. No, why? Because these fingerprints, these 10 fingerprints, I know how to count. These 10 fingerprints are assigned to me. They come back to me. My name, my social security number, my birthday, my address. Everything that identifies and associates with who I am. That's what these 10 fingerprints, they say. They are a mark. It marks me. It identifies me. So the Lord has given us all a purpose. The Lord has given us all gifts and talents. And when we buy in or become members, salvation of the kingdom, we are afforded benefits that come along with us becoming one or a part, a connection with this company or the kingdom. I don't want to call the kingdom a company, but we're talking about, when I say company, we're talking about AAA roadside assistance. When I say kingdom, we're talking about AAA mind assistance. Okay. Just make sure we're clear on that. Yeah. Sometimes I be overthinking stuff, but I just want to make sure we're clear. And so roadside assistance for AAA, it provides free towing, tire and fuel delivery, tire replacement coverage. It's a helpline 24/7, and it protects not only you but your family. Anybody who is put on your plan is protected and covered by the investment you make. In the same way, because our lives are not our own and our lives are not about us, the investment that we make into this kingdom walk, into this kingdom mindset, mind assistance, AAA. It protects and covers and is connected and provides safety for those that we are connected to. Now, we can't control their movement, just as in with the car. My daughter may be under my plan, but I can't control how she's driving. But in the event that something happens, she's covered. And so I want us to get to a place where we are thinking, but not only thinking, doing something about what the Lord has told us individually and uniquely to do. We are covered in this plan, in this connection to the kingdom. Are you using and taking full advantage of the benefits? Do you know what the benefits are? There's nothing like having AAA, getting into a car accident and then calling a tow truck company that has nothing to do with AAA, and now I have to come out of pocket and pay for this tow because I did not know what I was afforded with what I bought into, with what I became connected to what I became a member of. That's afforded to me. But I have to know that. How do I know that? I have to do my research. I have to find out what comes along with this plan. What's the difference between AAA and one of the others? Right? Because they all pretty much have the same things that they're offering, but sometimes it's a little different. Somebody may add, or one of the companies may give you something that the other company doesn't, or the price is different. Usually we will go with one that has most of what we need and want, but that costs less. And sometimes we shoot for the same thing in the kingdom. I don't want to pay the price. I want all the benefits. I want to be the best that God has called me to be. I want to do all the things that He called me to do. I want to have it. I want to become it. But the price that I have to pay. So if I could still have at least 5 of those things, it affords me, 10. But if I can just get 5, what I think is major, what I think is most important, then I'll shoot low. But I'm here to encourage you to elevate your mind and your thinking. To know that you can be, to know that you can have, to know that you can do everything that the Lord has told you to do, that the Lord has assigned to your identity, to your fingerprints. But we have to get in the menu to know what it is that we're afforded, what comes with this kingdom walk. You see, the thing about AAA, you have to first have a car. If you don't have a car, it's pointless to buy in to something that protects you in an area or with something that you don't have. But we all have a destiny. We all have a purpose. We all have gifts. We all have talents. And so it's time for us to connect to this kingdom and the kingdom mindset so that we are shifted to be able to be protected on the journey, to know what I can do, what I can't do. And so the mind is so powerful. I know they have a saying, the mind is a terrible thing to waste, but it really is powerful. Someone can be on life support where their heart is still beating through the support of machines, but their mind is absolutely gone. Their mind is not active. Their mind is blank. Their mind is not in the moment of what is happening. So their heart is still beating, but the mind is absent. And if the mind is absent, but the heart is beating, it leaves the family members to continue to come and visit you in a state of you not knowing, you not being aware, you not being alert. Really, you're not being alive. You're living, but you're not alive. You're not thriving, right? There's no liveliness to who you are in that moment and in that state. The mind is so powerful that it determines the outcome of someone's life. What do I mean? We can have the same information, but what we do with that information, which is really wisdom. Wisdom is not about what you know. It's about knowing the right things. And so the mind can give me information to say, you can have $1 million. Your mind can give you the information to say, you can have $1 million. Now, but what we do with that mind and with that thought determines the outcome of our lives. You may choose to work hard, put a plan together, and execute it to get the $1 million and to become successful. My mind may lead me to rob a bank, which now I do get that $1 million if the bank has that much, if I'm able to get away with that much. But now chances are I'm going to end up in jail. So wisdom is not about the mind knowing, it's about it knowing the right information so that you have the greatest and best outcome in life. AAA Mind Assistance. What do the A's stand for? Alive, activate, and accelerate. God is giving us the word that must first become alive in our minds, right? Because we're reading. So it's all a mental thing. It's filtered in our mind. It's kind of digested in our minds before it translates in other areas for us to walk it out. So the word has been given to us. It must become alive. But then we have to activate it. Many of us, the word is alive in our minds. The assignment God has given us is alive in our minds. I can speak from experience. There's still things I have not fully committed to and activated, which means I'm setting into motion. It's alive because I heard God say it. It's alive because I know it. It's alive because it makes my heart beat. It makes my baby leap. Well, I'm excited about it. But yet it sits right there. It's shelved in my mind and has not been given permission by me to be activated, to be set in motion, to move. That may be you, where the word is alive. You know the promise of the Lord. He has given you the assignment and you've said yes, but a noun yes, where I'm just giving you a response. But the verb yes says I'm putting action behind my yes. I'm willing to do what you have told me to do, what you have instructed me to do. That is my yes. My yes, a verb, is a commitment to go, to do, to be, to say. So maybe you have that in your mind, but it hasn't become activated. That means you're not taking full advantage, AAA, on what is afforded to you with the promises of God. Why? Because the third yes, or the third A, is acceleration. Now that's not our part. That's not on us. That's when God takes us from where we are, from our yes, from our step of faith, and he advances us. He catapults us. He moves us from A to D, bypassing B and C. He skips us on the line. He shows us favor where I may not have to take the necessary steps according to what has been in the blueprint or designed in the book. What has been stated and said that is factual and has been for years, that has been proven, because people had to do point A, then point B, then C, and then boom, graduation D. But when the Lord gives us favor, he moves us many times from A to C, A to D. He advances us. He accelerates us. And it's time for us to buy in to what is afforded to us, not just to know it, not just to have the information, not even just to have the tools. The question then becomes, what are you doing with what you know? What are you doing with the information that you have been given? What are you doing with the tools? How silly is it of me to have the tools to build a dresser, and I need the dresser for my clothes, but I just let the clothes sit on the floor because I don't want to go through the work and through the process and paid the price of having to use my time to take these tools, to read the manual, to put this dresser together so my clothes can get off the floor into the dresser neatly, and now my house can be a home. So many of us work backwards. Many of us are praying and asking God for the things that He's already given us, the resources. He's already given us the tools. He has already given us the mindset. He's already given us the wisdom, which is the right information, and yet we're doing nothing with it. For some of us, it's not that we don't know what we are afforded, because we know it. We hear about it in church. We preach about it ourselves. We read about it in His Word. We sing songs that declare what we can have and who we can be because of Him, because of our connection, because of our oneness with Him. But yet, it stays in our minds. It stays alive, but we never activate it. We never set it in motion. Matthew 7, verses 21 through 24. It reads, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the ones who does the will of my Father in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, drive out demons in your name, and do many miracles in your name?' Verse 23 says, 'Then I will announce to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you law breaker.' And verse 24, 'Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who builds his house on the rock.'" Those who hear these words, but not just hearing. Remember, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. But in order for us to please God, it means that we need to put action to our faith. So many of us hear, many of us know, many of us have the information and the tools that we need, but our faith is lacking. And when our faith lacks, what it really means, the foundation of it just means we don't trust God. And I know you say, "Well, I trust God." I've even said it. But if I trust, when you trust something, you give it the right of way. You give it permission. If we're on the road, as we talk about AAA, and we're at a four-way stop sign, and somebody comes to the stop sign and they're walking, right? There's a moment where you're looking at the person and the person's looking at you, because you're trying to figure out, are you going to let me walk across the street? And you who are driving are trying to figure out, are you going to let me drive? And you walk after I move. And what happens is one or the other gives either the nod or the go ahead to move. So trusting says, I give you permission. If I'm driving the car and I give the pedestrian who's walking permission to walk, he trusts that I'm not going to hit him, that I'm not going to tell him to walk, and then as soon as he gets in front of my car, I press on the gas. So when we trust, we give someone the right of way. When we trust, we give someone permission. When we trust, we don't worry about it. We yield. So if we're not operating, functioning, and walking by faith, it really just says, God, I don't trust you. I have a portion of trust, but in this area, I don't believe I can do it. And then to believe that we can't do it is to believe that God can't do it, because He says we can do all things through Him. So our faith, our belief, our trust, our doing must be in Him, and then even for Him, in order for us to benefit. So if you do these things and act on them, verse 24 says, it would be like a wise man who builds his house on a rock, a solid rock, which means there's a firm foundation. Many of us are building and it's not on a firm foundation. So we build, we get to a place of advancement, and then here comes our house crashing down. Here comes that dream, that goal crashing down. Here comes what we put our hands to and our money to and our focus to, our attention to. Here it comes crumbling down. Why? Because it was not built on a solid rock. It was built on manipulation. Possibly. It was built on a false check that the Lord told me to do this. And because he didn't sign that check, it bounced. And that thing came crashing down. Many of us are doing it just to prove something to people that I got this. You know, I was praying for someone this weekend who was very, very known and popular here in Tampa Bay. And as I was praying for them, I began to say, Father, help them to get back to a place where their eyes are focused on you, because so much of what they did trying to continue to keep the ship alive was to prove to people, I got this, to prove to people I'm not a failure. So I believe the Lord was saying your time and season with that thing is up. But to them, I don't want to look like I'm a failure. I don't want people to be proved right when they tell me it ain't gonna work. Your time is up. Your season is up. Your sin and what you did is causing that thing to be kind of settled now, where there is no more life in it. It's not alive anymore. It's on life support, as we talked about earlier. What they were attached to that was once lively and thriving, flourishing, it lost not its heartbeat. It lost its mind. The mind of Christ. It lost the wisdom, the right information to continue to carry the assignment that the Lord had given. But I can't let go. I can't stop. And while you see that person still tried to fight through it, it wore them down to where you don't even hear their name anymore. You don't even see them anymore. Why? Because they were trying to push, trying to continue to be active in something that the Lord says, deactivate, shut down, whether it was for a season, whether it was for a reason. Shut down, deactivate. And so we have to make sure we're not pushing past or trying to be something to prove things to other people, because it's not going to stand long. Why? Because there's nothing solid for it to stand on. You're going to get weary. You're going to get tired. And guess what? The people that you're trying to prove wrong in doing that thing, they'll be done moved on with their life, doing bigger, doing better, moving on to other things. And when you get weary and when you get tired, you have nothing to hold on to or to grab life from, because it was built on the wrong thing. When we build on a solid rock, which is Christ, when we build on a solid rock, which is the instructions and the word that the Lord, the manual that the Lord has given us for our AAA, our mind assistance, when we get weary, when we get weak, when we get frustrated, I can go back to the drawing board. I can go back mentally to the foundation. And the foundation is, the Lord told me to do this. The foundation is He gives me strength in my weakness. The foundation is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The foundation is if He be for me, then who can be against me? I know the banks is not giving me loans. I know people are coming up against me. I know I've lost many different, I put my name out there and lost many different opportunities where people was given advantage or people was given the opportunity above me. But the Lord grants me favor. Yes, goodness and mercy follows me. What's for me is for me. The Lord is never going to allow anybody to have their way unless He gives them permission to do this. So then once again, it's for my good. I may not understand it. It may not feel good. I may not like it in the moment. May even make me look bad, but it's for my good, because the Lord has a plan greater than what I understand. We can only benefit from AAA when we become a member. We can only benefit from the word and the kingdom, what comes along with it, when we become a member. Not a member who, membership, it expires. And if you don't go back to the drawing board and say, I want to sign on again for another however many years or however long of a period of time, you lose the benefits, even though you may have the card, even though you may have the sticker, AAA. I don't think they do that anymore, but I remember seeing little stickers that you put on the back of your car, AAA. No matter what you have that's associated with what you was once connected to, you are no longer connected to that thing because the membership died out and you did not go back. In the same way, many of us are at a place where we're still holding on to what God said and what he told us to do and who he is from years ago. Is he not doing a new thing? We talked about last week, elevation in the new you, right? Everything in the world gets upgraded. Technology, electronics, our phones. I mean, everything gets a makeover. And when things are made over, when it is upgraded, there are new things that are added to the old things. So in the same way, I should not, you should not, we should not still be living out a thriving off of an instruction the Lord gave us years ago that we still have not completed. Thinking that we're still going to have the benefits and access to the new thing that he wants to do and what comes along with that when we still have not completed where we are. We still have not completed what he said to do. And so how idiotic, how foolish of us to expect from God how do I say it? How foolish of us to expect from God what we are not fully committed to. What we have not fully said yes to. You know, a fool is to have the wisdom, but not to activate it, not to set it in motion. Wisdom without activation, without application is foolish. So if you have wisdom and you have not activated it, if you have not applied it to your life and to what God has told you to do, you are a fool. And it's insanity. It's insane to think that we can still have the better things that God has to offer us. If we're still saying, you know what, I really don't want to pay the price, gosh. That they upgraded, and you know that I would love to take advantage of that, but it's cost $5 more a month. Now I'd rather spend it on coffee. I'd rather spend it on things that don't matter, things that I'm gonna eat and that's gonna, you know, tear up my body, tear up my system. It's causing me bad health, but I don't have any discipline. I'm not committed to the better things in life, but I want the better things in life. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. And so this Saturday was just encourage you to elevate your mind, to take full advantage of the benefits that comes along with us buying into or being connected or committed or becoming kingdom citizens in God's kingdom. And it starts in our mind. We must allow the word to be alive. We must allow the word then to be activated. And then 3, we will be accelerated. But once again, that's God's doing, and that's God's hand, that's God's timing, that's God's will, whenever he will, to accelerate us. But we have to continue to be obedient, stand in truth, stand in righteousness, stand in the light, and walk out what he's put on your life and in your heart to do it. Let's stop talking about it and let's be about it. Let's stop writing it down just to say that we wrote it down, but we have books full of dreams, books full of visions, books full of what God said, and yet we're shelving it. So the dream that's supposed to be alive and thriving is dead. It has a heartbeat because it still has potential. If you would pull that book off the shelf, dust it off, open it up, and begin to walk out what you put in there. This is today's Saturday, and I pray that it blessed you. If it did, please feel free to share with someone. Remember to go on YouTube and subscribe to Letitia's Heart. You'll find all of my Saturdays on there that you can share, that you can comment on, or just view if you want to. Until next Saturday, continue to live, love, laugh, and breathe. Jesus loves you, and I do too.